Getting a headache behind my left temple. What could be causing it? The glare from the terminal screen? Or something else? Oh, great. I love doing pro bono work for friends.
Aw, you called us friends. I'd normally entertain your self-aggrandizing delusions, but this time it's important.
Important to you is not the same as important to me. Although I do recognize that you may have earned some goodwill during your months laboring for me. Tug on my heartstrings, why don't you? Look, I'll do what I can, all right?
Rebecca Hodges and Anders Wadsworth. They took a UDL contract back when Monarch went to shit, and I need to find them. I believe them to be on Terra too.
If UDL hired 2 hunters back then, it would have been for creature clearing purposes, round 1 of their Spacer's Choice outposts. These are the coordinates for the outpost under the last UDL contract. Now scram. And, good luck. Give my regards to Phineas. So much for peace and quiet. Would it kill the universe to cut me some slack? What a... But great... Me? I'd end up blasting myself from the face of the planet, trying to disengage the target lock on the bloody thing. Thank you, but no. I'm getting ahead. Be a doll and shoot any marauders you spot on the way down.
Crew report. Bioka is drunk. Surprise. Is it time for your regular daily period of unconsciousness?
Cleaning done quiet is cleaning done well. Greetings, customer.
Watch your step, Captain. The floor is wet. Sam recently mopped in here. We are now in orbit above Edgewater, Captain.
Take a gander. The door's busted. Rebecca? Anders? You in there? Huh. Rebecca taught me this once. You can jerry-rig these old locks so as they don't open anymore. But we've only ever done that if we're in a real bind. Here, I'll fix it. Oh no. Oh no. What did you do? Oh, Nyoka. I'm so sorry. They were... That bitch! They were all set to abandon us! What would Clara say, huh? Every day she'd ask if we heard from you. And she'd have forgiven you! The kid had a soul that made the sulfur smell like roses! Ugh. Hard to leave your medallions to rot with you, but Clara would want to be buried with her sister. At least I know. Ought to have learned by now that getting one's hopes up tends to open them to being dashed across the stars. I hate to say this, but Clara died thinking her sister was still fighting to get back home. I think I'm glad. If she were still alive now, it'd break her to know the truth. Yeah, maybe. I'm used to disappointment. She was still so naive as to let it hurt her every time it happened. Only thing left is to take these medallions home, which means figuring out how to bait the Mana Queen out of our old base. The most pissed off I've ever seen a queen was when a foreign species was on her soil. I'd wager the stench of a primal might do the trick. That'd be boring. Half the fun in exploring is the fact that you're on an unknown trail. I've never had the pleasure of hunting primals, but I hear they're all over Scylla. Let's tear a few apart, shall we? I'm sure they've got pheromones. Everything does. That queen ain't gonna go down easy. I can't wait. What's up? What? Sure. All right.
A reminder to all crew members, there is only one toilet on the ship. Destination reached. Scylla.
We gotta talk about this. Hey boss, got a hypothetical for you? You got a friend, see? Somebody you knew when you were growing up. You were close. Then one day, they up and vanished. 5 years go by, they send you a message out of the aether. What's going through your head? You got the wrong idea, boss. It ain't like that. Guy by the name of Clyde Harlow. He was an old friend of mine. Honestly, he was probably my first and longest friend. I just heard from him. Says he wants to talk to me. Says it's urgent. Figured I should let you know, seeing as we're on Scylla and all. Clyde's got a base on the other side of this rock. I appreciate this, boss. I know you're going out of your way for me.
We'll be here, Captain. Or will we? Haha. Just a little joke for you.
no tussle.
I've been waiting for this! That's the last of him!
What's up? Outstanding. These ought to be enough. Let's get back to Monarch. There's an old base I used to call home. I can get us in the door, but we'll have to shoot our way through the Queen's brood to get to the center. We'll set the bait there. Password to the door is Charon. Hayes' idea. Clara, Hayes, Anders, Rebecca, Opal, Nyoka. Charon. He said it was some old myth. Something about death and all the things we killed. Rest of us just thought it sounded cool, so here we are. It's an old cave system we tried to turn into an encampment. You'll see when we get there. Fucking right we are.
Salutations. This unit's primary function is excavator. Owner, Hephaestus Mining Corporation. Other functions include dialogue, limited current active commands, excavation. That is all. This unit is removing rock matter in search of minerals, metals, and other forms of matter designated valuable. Brevity identified. Affirmative. This unit could discuss excavation at greater length, but does not wish to strain its daily charge. Thank you for your consumer loyalty, Junior Excavator. This unit will store this exchange in its memory banks. Always. Greetings, Junior Excavator.
A reminder to all crew members, there is only one toilet on the ship. We are now in orbit above Stellar Bay, Captain. No blockade is a match for my piloting skills.
Whew, here we go. I haven't set foot in here since... Well, I'm ready. Yeah, right? Yeah. Here we go. What's up?
I wish I could do that.
What's up? Sure. Alright. Well, this is the spot. You know, I thought I'd be angry. I thought I'd storm in here in a rage and exterminate all these bugs and everything would be all right in the end. But I ain't. I'm mostly just empty. A little sad, maybe. The first night Hayes and I spent in here, we knew it was home. It's safe. It's got a nice chill to it. But mostly, it doesn't stink of sulfur. Monarch folks often joke about it. Not because of the smell or the grittiness it leaves in your throat. Not because of the headaches or the coughing. It's because there's no escaping it. It's life here, and there ain't anything you can do about it. But here, somehow the sulfur never made it. The nights we spent in here felt like vacations. So we started building. We hauled in steel, hired sublight folk to help. That's how we met Anders and Opal. They stuck around after our contract was up. Opal liked camping. Anders liked chasing her tail. 4 of us for a while, scraping together what bits we could to build our home. Then came Rebecca, a sawbones out of the Cascadia survivors, who took a kindness to Hayes. And Clara, her little sister. I'll admit I wasn't keen on taking her on at first, but for a teenager, she was surprisingly capable. She had a head for numbers, helped us trade hides for food and materials, negotiated contracts. Turned out to be mighty useful. Clara, Hayes, Anders, Rebecca, Opal, and me. 6 folks, 1 name, 1 family, Charon. Despite Monarch trying to kill us day in and day out, we managed to belong. Me too, Captain. But I'm starting to think that maybe I found another. Now let's get to shooting before I get all sentimental.
Here they come!
I wish these were more auspicious circumstances, but at least we're all here. This bringing them together, burying them. This is the kind of thing Hayes would have done. That makes it stupid. By all accounts, we should have left well enough alone, but that also makes it right. Captain, thank you. You mind if we rest a spell before we head out? I'd like to bury Opal and Clara proper before I lay everyone's medallions to rest. What? Why? Them's painful memories, Captain. Huh. That ain't a bad point. All right, Captain. Thanks. You know, I'd been assuming this entire stay on your ship thing isn't a permanent arrangement. Part of my contract? That said, you ain't been eaten or shot to death yet. Says a lot about the stability of your future. And to be honest, I'm about sick of sleeping on bar stools. So how's about this? You keep letting me stay on that ship of yours, and I'll keep shooting at the things you point at. Outstanding. What's up? Sure. All right. You ever name a place? Ever come to a spot in the world you think ought to be remembered? Those don't count. Those names were paid for. I name things and places quite often. Rotting River, Golden Rock, the Horizon's Edge. Anytime I come to a spot I think is worth remembering, I name it. It's easy to get lost in the wilderness. I don't mean physically. All you need is a clear night sky to get your bearings. I mean, it's easy to forget that you belong. Spend a few weeks camping with the Raps, and you start to forget what it's like to be human. When a beast growls at you, maybe you start to growl back. Those little spots, a rock here, a river there, I'd name them so that in those moments, I could remind myself not where I was, but who I was. Well, we eat, we drink, and holler and fuck. On some level, we all function the same. But they ain't got memories or attachments to places, to friends, to themselves. I found that every once in a while, my own attachments would start to slip. Then I'd take a drink from the rotting river, find my spirit refreshed. Anyway, enough sentimental yammering. Let's find a drink or a target. What's up? All right. I made friends with a canid once. They ain't as savage as the Raps. They're more careful. Some of them will sniff your feet before they attack. Well, one morning, I opened the flap to my tent to find a canid sniffing around the remains of my fire pit. Suppose it must have smelled the rapt I boiled for dinner the night before. Thing is, I had dragged that rapt off and burned it before I turned in. Can't have anything catching a whiff of fresh meat and coming to interrupt my beauty sleep. Yeah, across a sulfur pool and over rotting river. I'd never seen such a keen hound. As I grabbed my gun, it walked up to me, right up to my tent, and stopped. It looked me dead in the eye and it didn't growl. It just sniffed around, sat for a spell, started walking off. When it saw I wasn't following it, it waited. Hard to the void, Cap. It looked back at me, and it was only when I walked in its direction that it continued. Once I started following, it put its nose to the ground and led me for some 20 minutes through the wilderness. Soon we came to a small rap nest, and in that nest lay 2 dead canids. My new friend looked at the Raps, then at me, then at the Raps again. Once I blew the shriveled brains out of those sulfur-sucking Raps, my canid companion walked to the corpses of its packs, and with a soft whimper, it laid among them. I ain't seen emotion in a beast before, but that day, I believed it to be grieving. I thought I ought to kill it, put it out of its misery, and secure myself a decent meal, but I couldn't bring myself to pull the trigger. Don't know why. Maybe on account of my own personal losses. Maybe I could relate. Either way, that grieving canid is still out there somewhere. Or it's been eaten. Who knows? What's up? Oh, sure. Once, our group was short on bits, and we were low on meat. We were trying to come up with a plan when we met Rebecca and her little sister. Every once in a while, when times got desperate, we looked to Fallbrook for dirty work. The sisters had never been there before. They lived in Cascadia all their life. First night we stayed there, well, you know me. I was in my cups. I sat to play cards with a few gentlemen from Byzantium who had deep pockets. Thought I'd make a bid or two. You'd bet correctly. They're willing to throw away money because they've got so much extra. So, I'm up against this old man from somewhere on Terra 2, long retired and looking for adventure he hadn't found in his youth. Thing is, he's smarter than the average tourist, tighter. I'm chipping away at his wallet, but it's a slow-going, frustrating game. I'm getting there, Captain. So then, Rebecca sits at the table. I hadn't known she could even play, let alone that she'd be willing to. For her part, she did fine. Didn't lose much. But the tourist, the old Terra 2 retiree, Rebecca distracted him something awful, and I took him for all he had. Oh, yes. Rebecca and I became fast friends that night. I give quite a bit to see her at the tables again. What's up? I'll tell you how I met Hayes. Before the corporations left, I took patrol contracts for the Monarch roads, protecting caravans from Raps and the like. One such contract, the client's autoloader broke down, so we started the rest of the journey on foot. It comes to the middle of the night when I start hearing noises. Yeah, client didn't want to break camp. Said he was nervous being out there. I don't blame him, especially on account of the noises. They were a kind of whistling. These low, short, piercing whistles. Thing is, in all my travels, I'd never heard them from the wildlife. Just as I put one thought to the other, a group of men leapt out of hiding, guns drawn. Fucking pirates. Quite right, Captain. They didn't know what they were getting into. I set my faithful machine gun to 2 of them immediately. Third fled. The remaining 2 stopped dead in their tracks. One begged for his life. He had quite a mouth on him. The other was silent, just staring at me. Nah, he was listening. I asked the quiet one, "What should I do with you 2?" My client shouted to kill them. The other man ran his mouth, kept begging me to spare them. The quiet one said, "Listen." We all stopped for a beat, but I didn't hear anything. Then, slow creeping. A quiet snarling. Mantisaurs. Likely so. It got bloody fast, but in the thick of it, the quiet man and I stood back to back, fending off a swarm. In the end, his mouthy friend went down. He helped my client and I limp back to town. Along the way, he introduced himself. Jackson Hayes. After that, we stuck around each other. Good help is hard to find out here. They surely do, Captain. Something about facing off impending death together. I won't lie, it still puts a strain in my spirit to think about him. But it also puts a smile on my face, so... Thanks for chatting. What's up? We were having trouble offloading meat once. We had a bit of a surplus, mostly wrapped, but a bit of taro too, and we couldn't find a buyer. Well, Opal often cooked for us, so she offered to make a feast. The meat was gonna go bad if we didn't use it anyway. The rest of us set to gathering things we could use as tables and chairs. Rocks, logs, leathers. I know. Proper civilized. Anders managed to find these little mushrooms that didn't make your stomach roll over if you boiled them. Hayes brought an old Spectrum bottle he'd been saving. But what really made it special was Clara. She'd been handling our books, and it turned out that every time we stopped through Fallbrook to trade, she'd been skimming off the top. I suppose I never asked as to what her original intentions were. Turns out, she had taken those savings and had medallions made. A set of them, one for each of us. Each had one of our initials, and together they spelled Charon. The word had been Hayes' idea, but it wasn't until Clara passed out those medallions that we stuck to it. Yeah. Hayes had said it was some kind of myth. I don't know. It sounded cool. That night, around a roaring fire, eating a feast fit for kings, drinking and laughing and sharing our lives. That's when my misfit group of ne'er-do-wells became a family. I'll never forget them, much as it pains me to remember. Yeah, I really am. What's up? Maybe later, Cap. I'm all storied out for the moment.
Crew report. Nyoka is drunk. Surprise.
Mess detected. Dispensing vomit bags. Preparing bodily waste. Collection receptacle. Issuing sanitation ticket.